at the 20.
Steelers gave thanks for Barry Foster's running ability, and the Eagles knocked the stuffing out of the Giants. Celebrate Turkey Day inside the NFL.
I'm Brian Burwell. In this week's cover story, we travel to Brooksville, Florida for a special Thanksgiving tribute to the late Jerome Brown.
And on Where Are They Now, you'll see the man who ran beside Matt Snell and later John Riggins with the New York Jets, running back Emerson Boozer. Joining us to talk about the Silver and Black is their longtime defensive end, Howie Long, the last Raider remaining from their days in Oakland. And now, inside the NFL, pro football's most informative hour, with your hosts, Glenn Dawson, Nick Bonacati, and Chris Collinsworth.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's show. Chris and Nick, I'm sure our viewers can tell by our beautiful decorations, this is a special week, the week of Thanksgiving. I want to ask you two guys something. With 5 games to go in the season, what team should be thankful?
Flame, there were 27,000 faithful pilgrims up in New England feasting on the talents of running back John Vaughn and their exciting rookie quarterback Scott Zolik. These two guys have made the hapless Patriots happy on Thanksgiving, but more important, hungry spoilers for the rest of '92.
Well, in Minnesota, there'll be no turkey for Dennis Green's squad. It'll be Salisbury steak this week, along with one of the hungriest defenses in all the National Football League. And I'm not pulling your leg on that one either.
San Diego fans should be happy they have general manager Bobby Beathard. He hired Bobby Ross, made sure Ross and Arnsberger had a powwow. He made a deal with Washington to get quarterback Stan Humphries. So this week, instead of eating crow, the Chargers could be gobbling up the Raiders. But those 3 teams are doing well. There are some teams that are playing like a bunch of turkeys, too.
Hey, talking about turkeys, Lenny, there are 2 coaches here in New York, Bruce Koslet and Ray Hanley. These 2 guys are getting the stuffing knocked out of them both on and off the field. They're about as popular in this city as Sinead O'Connor would be at the Vatican.
That's not good. That's not good. In Cincinnati, rookie quarterback David Klingler is about to get his goose cooked. He's starting this week, and yet he missed all of training camp, has not taken a single snap even in an exhibition game this year, and is facing one of the most difficult defenses in all the National Football League to decipher, the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're setting David Klingler up for a slaughter.
Gentlemen, I think we've used just about every term associated with Thanksgiving except maybe cranberry sauce and pumpkin pie. So it's time to get back to NFL football and show our viewers what happened last week. Miami stopped their skid on the strength of Pete Stoyanovic's toe. Dallas got back on track with a dominating defense. The Saints did what they do best, beat up on people. And the Chiefs were led by a player that their opponent knew very well.
Last Sunday in Seattle, Dave Craig returned to the Kingdome for the first time as a Chief, where his teammates ensured that he won his homecoming going away.
Off up the middle, Barry Word finds a big hole by the 40, down by the 35, breaks a tackle the 30, it's a foot race to the 20, the 15, the 10, the 5, they'll chase him into the end zone. Touchdown, Kansas City, a 44-yard.
Barry Word scored first, but it was Kansas City's defense which had the last word, forcing 6 turnovers, including 4 interceptions.
The pass going the youngster stopper being chased and backpedals and throws a pass. It's picked off by Neil Smith at the 20, the 15, the 10, the 5. He goes in unscathed. Touchdown.
How bad have things gotten in Seattle? Consider that the Chiefs' special teams scored as many touchdowns last Sunday as the Seahawks' offense had in the last 6 games.
13, runs outside, gets a block, 15, 20, on the far side, 25, 30, down the sideline, the 40, the 50, both teams gone, the 40, the 30, the 20, he'll waltz in the 10, the 5, he high steps it in, touchdown Kansas City, oh baby, what a play!
Dale Carter's second punt return for a touchdown this season helped the Chiefs keep pace in the AFC West. And Craig and KC hope to keep flying high against the Jets this week. In the Valley of the Sun, bells were tolling. One set for the happy couple who were busy cutting the cake, and another for Cardinals quarterback Chris Chandler, who learned that the Cowboys prefer to cut to the chase. Chandler left the game with bruised ribs. Joe Bugle and the rest of the Cardinals were once again left with bruised psyches as the Cowboys managed just enough offense to find the end zone.
7, Kelvin Martin comes motion right. He and Irvin are right. Aikman back looking right, standing and looking, and he throws it over the middle. Novacek at the goal line. Touchdown.
The Cowboys' attack was out of sync all day. But even so, the Cardinals' defense was a step behind just as often.
Slot left. Aikman on 3rd down under center. And a blitz is on. Aikman throws on slant. It's Harper got away. Harper got away. Down to the 10. He'll score. Alvin Harper got away for 37 yards.
What a play by Alvin Harper. What a great play.
The Cowboys haven't run away with the NFC East title just yet, but nobody seems to be gaining on them. In New Orleans, everybody came out to see the world champions, which might be a good idea as the Skins are quickly fading from the playoff picture. The Saints sacked Mark Rippon 4 times, held Washington to 58 yards rushing, and held them without a touchdown. New Orleans, on the other hand, continued its maddeningly methodical march to the playoffs. Bobby Hebert's quick tosses, coupled with Dalton Hilliard's clutch running, gave the Saints a 20-3 victory. The Saints can only hope for a victory just as easy again this week against the Dolphins, who were trying to return to the sunny days and winning ways of their 6-0 start. But early on, the Oilers used some slick defense to pressure Dan Marino and muffle any potential Dolphin splashes. Marino went more than 26 minutes before completing his first pass, and that one went to Oilers defensive back Chris Dishman. Houston was hardly a model of efficiency either, but Cody Carlson and the Oilers managed to build a 13-point lead.
For Jeffries, he leaps, he makes the catch, touchdown! Haywood Jeffries on a leaping catch in front of Jamie Brown.
Then the man at the top of anybody's short list on quarterbacking in the clutch finally went long.
They have to get it inside the 30-yard line to keep this series alive. The snap, back he goes to throw, in the pocket. He will loft it downfield, man down there. It is caught by Freddie Banks for a touchdown.
With the score tied and time running out, the Dolphins desperately looked for a hero. The hero then looked at the clock and proceeded to complete 5 consecutive passes to put Miami in field goal range. White knuckle time was 52 long yards from overtime.
If he makes it, the Dolphins win. If he doesn't, we go into OT. Here is the snap. Good snap set down. The kick is on its way. He's got the distance on it. It's gone! What a win for this football team.
Now, who can figure out Dan Marino and the Dolphins? 2 weeks ago, he starts out completing his first 11 passes. They lose. Last week, he misses his first 6, and they win. Nick, this week, they're traveling to New Orleans. They'll be hosted by the Saints. How do you see this game?
Lenny, they're playing in the Hola Calcutta, the Superdome. Miami's offensive line only gave up 11 sacks in the first 9 ball games. Look at the last 2 games. Danny Marino has been sacked 8 times. You couple that with a running game that's gone into the tank and a Saints defense that plays into your face the whole ball game. Dan Marino can spend the whole afternoon counting the ceiling lights.
Well, Marino may feel more like he's in Calcutta than the whole of Calcutta with the way that he's been running around naked in that backfield lately. And this week he faces the best pass rushing team in the entire National Football League in the Saints. But Dan Marino is playing better than he has in a long time, and he has a lot of different receivers to work with. Banks, Jackson, Humphrey, Duper, Clayton. I just don't think the Saints can cover all those guys.
But you said, I know that tone of yours. You are leaning in the direction of the Dolphins, aren't you?
Yes, I am. I ask you to hearken back to 1985 and what Dan Marino did against what I consider to be the best pass rushing team of all time, the '85 Chicago Bears. He beat that team with short, quick passes, and this week he'll do the same thing to the New Orleans Saints with a 49ers style of offense.
We don't hearken back very often. No. Let's talk about the field goal kickers, two of the best long-range kickers in the National Football League, Pete Stoyanovich and Morton Anderson. You get inside the 35-yard line, it's almost automatic, but Morton Anderson owns the Superdome. I'll tell you why the Saints are going to win this football game. They are hungry. They feel they're not getting the respect that they deserve. They're 8-3. They're going to go to the playoffs. They've been to the playoffs before, but they have never won a game in the playoffs. So they're going to be ready for Miami. They're going to win. What do you think?
Lenny, the Dolphins are Marino dependent, and Marino is definitely Sims and Webb protected, but not recently. I think this security system of the Dolphins is going to be short-circuited by the Swilling, Jackson, Martin overload. And I like the electrifying Saints defense.
You know, the Saints have lost 3 ball games, 1 to the Eagles the first game of the season, 2 to the 49ers by a total of 7 points. I don't think they feel they're going to get the due respect until they beat the San Francisco 49ers. And for a change, it was the 49ers defense that made the difference in their victory on Sunday. There were other teams that found unorthodox ways to win. The Packers used an uncharacteristic ground game. The Vikings and Eagles scored a lot of points, but not necessarily with their offenses.
Chicago fans don't suffer from tunnel vision because the 1992 Bears have dug themselves a deep hole. And that's why Chicagoans are now looking far off into the distance.
We'll see you next year, boys! Come on, 93!
For the surprising Packers, the future could be now.
Now he turns and throws long.
Sharp's open.
At the 5.
It's over.
Sterling Sharp.
Another look at the touchdown shows that a beautiful fake by Brent Favre held the Bears at bay and gave this rapidly improving young quarterback plenty of time to hit Sterling Sharp, who entered the contest as pro football's leading receiver. This is the kind of big play that has frustrated those Bears fans who have not yet become forward-looking. Such pleas fell on deaf ears, however, and in the fourth period, Favre's flair for improvisation sent Mike Ditka's beleaguered Bears to their 4th straight defeat. When Ditka travels to Cleveland this week, he'll be hoping that his post-game parting words with Browns coach Bill Belichick won't resemble those he relayed to Green Bay's Mike Holmgren. Last Sunday, the Browns were at the Metrodome, where everyone was ready to step up to play quarterback. Brown starter Mike Tomczak helped Cleveland jump out to a 10-0 lead with a halcyon performance in the first period. But the performance of Minnesota's Rich Gannon was more like Halcyon the Tranquilizer. Eventually, a wake-up call went out to back up Sean Salisbury, who responded with a fourth-period scoring pass to Joe Johnson.
Rolling out from the 3, cocks his arm and throws, and it's caught by Joe Johnson. Touchdown!
By this time, Tomczak had been benched in favor of Todd Philcox, who learned the hard way that in Minnesota, the best offense is defense. Andre McMillan's 3rd interception of the game accounted for Minnesota's 7th defensive touchdown of the season. This Sunday, Salisbury will start at quarterback in Anaheim against the struggling Rams team that has been a distorted mirror image of the surging Vikes. Last week, the Rams had to reflect on what it means to play division-leading San Francisco. It means trouble, especially at the Big A, where the 49ers haven't lost since 1986. But after a shaky start, the Rams mounted a third-period comeback.
Looking, has time. Throws deep. It is Eller. Catch. Touchdown, Rams!
LA's pass rush also harassed and hounded Steve Young, sacking him 3 times. But although the game's top running quarterback was hemmed in all day, it was nearly impossible to contain Ricky Waters. Waters carried the 49er offense by carrying the ball 26 times for 163 yards and a pair of touchdowns.
And they give it to Waters. He sees it all. There it is. Touchdown, 49ers.
While Waters was on, the rest of the offense was way off. Young threw for just 167 yards, but 42 of those came on a single play that sewed up the contest in the fourth quarter.
Launches it way downfield. Rice is out there. He's got it. He falls into the end zone. Touchdown 49ers with Henley draped all over him.
In compiling a 9-2 mark, the 49ers have faced just 2 foes with winning records. But the toughest part of their schedule begins this Sunday when they host Philadelphia and attempt to make the Eagles tip their hats to Ricky Waters.
Let's see who wants it, baby. Let's see who wants it, baby. Let's see who wants it. Come on, baby. Make a little noise, man. Get some. Hey, baby. It's all football, baby. It's football Sunday. Nobody want to see nobody else in the NFL play except the Eagles and the Giants. This is big football, baby. This is what the pros for. Hit him all about.
We gonna say JB.
Pizza Davis. I got 2 pies for you, Davis. You need another pizza, you fat slob. What are you trying to catch the refrigerator, Davis? Go on a diet. Look at these fat slobs. Look at these fat slobs. You bums.
Let's go. We got to have the fire in the belly. Strike plus 1 to the right corner. Ready?
Let's go.
While both the fussin' and feudin' Eagles and Giants have resembled fatted calves in recent weeks, it was the Eagles who were being led to slaughter at the Meadowlands.
He's taking off to the outside. He's floating it for Megan, who has it for the touchdown.
Hey, that was his dive play. That's good. Good job. All right, baby. That away. That away.
Here comes the kickoff.
Giant playoff hopes rode on this game, and there is no faster steed to ride to victory on than Dave Meggett, number 30.
Back to his left side. Gets to the 30-yard line. Gets to the 35. He's got the 40. He's got one more shot at the 50-yard line. Still on his feet. He will score.
Important thing you guys are running hard with power, take care of the football, keep getting positive yards. Don't worry about it.
Trailing 20-6, the Eagles built their comeback with their defense. Gang Green registered 8 sacks, 3.5 of them by All-Pro Reggie White. But the turning point in this game came on an ill-advised pass by Giant quarterback Jeff Hostetler and a brilliant play by Eagle linebacker Seth Joyner.
Herschel and Teen 100 yards, all right? 2 more touchdowns.
Heath Sherman's block on Carl Banks allowed Herschel Walker to escape to his 2nd touchdown.
Pushing and shoving. Prince outside, across the 10, across the 5. Touchdown! Herschel Walker for points, and they delivered.
It was Keith Byers, the Eagles' most versatile player, but also their most underpublicized offensive warrior, who turned all the little plays into big moments. Part blocker, part running back, part receiver. Byers is usually the hidden hero in Eagle victories, and this game proved no exception.
with you. That was you. Me. That was you.
I was just going to slip and go like that. I just hit him in the hip, and he slipped and fell down.
You're the man.
Right on play, man. I get back catch. I didn't know you had that much speed anymore.
Yeah, I still got him.
Big man, Sikahema. Eagles have the block. It's blocked by Kendall. He's after the football. He's after it. He picks it up. He runs it in for a touchdown. Kendall.
Eagles special teams contributed 2 touchdowns in a string of 34 unanswered points.
NFL films with Steve Saban. Get you guys some of that highlight film, all right?
And now, Sikahema, who has also had a fabulous afternoon, is back in to return a punt from Sean Landeta. What a big, you know what this would be. He drives it. Sikahema backs up. Takes it at the 13. Starts right. Across the 20. Sikahema 25-30. Boy, Sikahema! It happened! He finally broke one. It was bound to happen. The Eagles have broken this game apart. The Eagles have taken this game and ripped it apart at the seams.
While the humiliating loss dimmed Giant playoff hopes and set up a dismal Thanksgiving in Dallas, the Eagles' season-long soap opera may yet continue well into the holidays.
Hi, Chris. Hey, Mikey and Jake, how you doing? Daddy's real tired. Daddy's tired. We'll come home and go get a Christmas tree.
When things are tough, when there is some turmoil, one thing is they play together and they play hard, and that's what they did today. They refused to get down today. A lot of teams wouldn't have come back from 20-6.
The 49ers go home to host the Philadelphia Eagles. This should be an outstanding football game, particularly when you match strength against strength in the running game. The 49ers are ranked #1 in the National Football League running with the football, averaging 5.2 yards per attempt, 18 rushing touchdowns. That is very impressive. On the other side, the Eagles are giving up 91 yards per game, and they've only given up 2 rushing touchdowns. Nick, my question to you is, can the 49ers move the ball against this Eagles defense?
Lane, this will be the Ricky Watters, Steve Young show all afternoon. Ricky Watters has that unique ability to make defenders miss, a la Emmitt Smith. And yes, while the 49ers are averaging 161 yards per game rushing the football, it's going to be the play-action passes and magician-like actions of Steve Young that's going to keep this Eagle defense off balance. You know something, guys? It's tough to sack a shadow.
Sack a what?
I don't know, the shadow knows? What do you say?
I don't know. But this shadow-sacking Eagles defense has been struggling lately. They've given up 61 points in the past 2 ball games and have had trouble shutting down even average rushing attacks, much less Ricky Watters and the San Francisco 49ers. And 2 weeks ago, in Green Bay, the Packers with Mike Holmgren, their former offensive coordinator of the San Francisco 49ers, they really picked apart this Eagles defense. I fully expect more of the same this week, as the 49ers should beat up on the Philadelphia Eagles and a struggling defense.
Now let's talk about that Eagles defense. Andre Waters, the strong safety, a lot of people don't like the way that he plays the game of football, but when he went down to injury 6 weeks ago, the Eagles went from 1st to 10th defensively. I don't know how the Eagles are going to stop the running attack of the 49ers, because in order to do that, you got to bring those safeties up near the line of scrimmage. If they do that, that means John Taylor and Jerry Rice will have free range downfield going against Mark McMillan, a rookie cornerback. I don't see them doing that. I don't see the Eagles winning. I think the 49ers are going to win. Nick, what about you?
Well, I think although Steve Young is going to definitely feel the wrath of a Clyde Simmons and a Reggie White, I think the San Francisco short passing game will offset this brutal pass rush. Yes, Steve Young will smell the foul breath of these defenders, but he will avoid their traumatic sacks. I like the 49ers.
But the Eagles' strong defense will keep them in the game for sure. But as great as Reggie White and Clyde Simmons are, they were better last year with their friend Jerome Brown lining up next to them. 5 months ago, the Philadelphia Eagles lost a teammate, a leader, and a friend when an auto accident took Jerome Brown. In this week's cover story, Brian Burwell visits Willie and Annie Brown, Jerome's parents, who tried to find some meaning in last summer's tragedy.
He was many things: passionate, funny, fearsome, generous, sometimes immature, and other times heroic, but always full of life and love. and then he was gone.
The Eagles' all-pro defensive tackle Jerome Brown died early this evening when his Corvette skidded out of control while leaving a car dealership in his hometown of Brownsville, Florida.
I come out from the bank, cash my check. Ambulance come along in front of me, and I just had a funny feeling, you know. And before I could get home, well, I met my wife and one of my nephews, and they said Jerome had that accident. They told me the best thing for me to do is go to the hospital. So I did.
This is the spot where we lost Jerome Brown so suddenly and so unexpectedly. He and his 12-year-old nephew Gus had just left a car dealership up the road in their little hometown of Brooksville, Florida. Jerome was driving fast. It was raining that day, and the car overturned and crashed into this tree and this power pole, and Jerome and Gus were killed instantly. Every once in a while in little towns just like Brooksville, a local kid makes it to the big time and becomes a hero to the folks back home. Now, in the case of Jerome, here was a guy who was totally embraced by his hometown, but it was as much for his personality as all of his enormous athletic talent.
Jerome Brown probably meant more to Brooksville and Hernando County than any one individual, I'd say, in this county. He was a natural born leader, a person that everybody loved. I mean, they didn't like it, they loved it. When they told me, I just broke down and cried like most everybody else did.
Jerome once saved his next-door neighbors from their burning house. Then there was the time he pulled a man free from an overturned truck on a highway. He organized a summer football clinic for the kids in Brooksville, and once he single-handedly stopped a Ku Klux Klan rally by using his truck's powerful stereo.
And when the Ku Klux started hollering and raising, saying about nigger this, nigger that, he just turned his, they told him to turn his radio up, and that drowned him out, and that was all to it. And they didn't like it.
And he loved to kid around.
So I was at work one day, he called me. He said, Mom, how would you like to go to Hawaii? And I said, yes! I screamed, and he said, say it again. Then I realized he want to put me on the intercom so all his friends could hear me. So I said, yes.
It hasn't been easy for the Browns. Losing two loved ones never is. But their devout faith has held them together and lifted their spirits forever.
Most people really don't have a real positive view of death, irregardless to whom it may be. And Jerome was the type of person who believed in celebrating whatever he was involved in. And
when a person passed, it is time to celebrate. It's not for sorrow. When a child come in this world, that's when the sorrow comes, because he got a lot of trials and tribulations to go through with while he's on earth. But after he passed, then there's no more worries.
It seemed like there's more love here than it was before with the people, the black and the white. And everybody just seemed like a lot of love, you know, because he was a loving person. Help anybody. He didn't care who they were.
The death of friends, said Henry David Thoreau, will inspire us as much as their lives. Well, Jerome, at this time of thanks, this is for you and all the friends that you've inspired.
I think after watching that cover story, you can understand how devastating it is for a parent to lose a child, and it's even more so during the holiday season. Let's get back to football, bring in Gary Myers, and talk about the happenings in the National Football League this past week. Hey, this week, new quarterbacks will be starting. In Cincinnati, it's going to be David Klingler taking the place of Boomer Esiason. Now, Klingler evidently now is the future of that team, but where does that leave Boomer?
Well, Lenny, I think that Bengals in the offseason will definitely attempt to trade Boomer. I spoke to a lot of people around the league this week, and they say that Boomer definitely has major market value, but he'll have to restructure his contract. He's getting $3 million a year through 1995, and if he does that, they think that Cincinnati can get back a second or third round pick. And the most logical spot for Boomer seems to be Tampa, where his old coach Sam Weich is.
New York Jets, another club making a quarterback switch. Browning Nagel was supposed to be the New York Jets. All of a sudden, they're going to bench him if Ken O'Brien's thumb is all right. Does that mean they've given up on Browning Nagel?
No, I don't think so. I think Bruce Kozlik just wants Nagel to take a step back. He's really been struggling this season. But, Lenny, they dedicated their entire offseason, all of training camp, to get Browning Nagel ready to play. And so far, he's not done the job. If in the long run, he's not the answer, it sets the program back at least 2 or 3 years.
Jets have to play the Chiefs. The Chiefs have Derek Thomas, Neil Smith, and
That's
Sally Amua, Joe Phillips. They're going to be going after a quarterback, any quarterback. Perhaps the Jets are doing Browning-Nagel a favor by not starting him.
Well, yeah, and I think the 49ers did Steve Young a favor last weekend. The team president, Carmen Policy, went to Young and just told him that they were going to put Joe Montana on the practice squad this week. They weren't asking for his approval. He was not being consulted on it, but they just wanted him to know what was going on. And I just think this is a further indication that the 49ers are now Steve Young's team.
Not very often that management goes to a player and tells them anything. Another individual, Jerry Glanville, Atlanta. Last year they made the playoffs. They don't have a chance this year. They were shellacked last week by Buffalo. What is his status?
Lenny, you know, I talked to a lot of people, and they all ask, you know, what is going to happen with Jerry Glanville? They think the Smiths in Atlanta might fire him. Glanville has the reputation of being one of those coaches that can get a team to a certain level, but not to a Super Bowl level. But when I called Taylor Smith, the Falcons president, he said that Glanville definitely will be back next year. They feel he's the guy that can get things straightened out and take them to that next level. One other thing that might be part of the mix here is that in the off-season, Glanville got a 1-year contract extension through 1994. So if they were to fire him after the season, the buyout would be over $1 million.
But we're not going to fire you because we want you back in our pick segment because you're doing so well.
Okay, Lenny.
You know, there are several teams playing like turkeys last week. The Bengals lost a game in the jungle. The Colts and Falcons got blown out by good teams, and the Jets did them one better. They got blown out by the Pilgrims in New England.
It was a great day to be Patriot quarterback Scott Zolak. No playoff pressure and a rare second straight start. It was a bad day to be a Jet, and an even worse day to be on the team laundry detail.
Inside, turning it to the left at the 10. He's turning the corner at the 5. He's going to go down and in.
New England had only one rushing touchdown in their first 10 games. Maybe they're mutters, as John Stevens and John Vaughn splashed in for 3 scores in the first half alone.
Vaughn is inside the 10, to the 5, and into the end zone. Touchdown, John.
Some spray and wash, bleach, and a little stain lifter should have the Pats looking spiffy for the Falcons and Dion this week. But in Buffalo, high-fashion GQ primetime wasn't his pregame cocky old self. Perhaps he sensed he had to conserve his energy, knowing he'd spend the entire day chasing down Bills ball carriers. Thurman Thomas and Kenneth Davis each rushed for over 100 yards by halftime, as Buffalo's huge line dominated the lightweight Falcons. Mitch Farad and Will Wolford muscled defensive linemen, while Kent Hull and Jim Richer cast aside linebackers, creating holes Betty Davis could have waltzed through.
The 45 midfield, down to the 40, the 35, the 30, the 20, the 15, the 10, the 5. Touchdown for Kenneth Davis. And he just turned on the afterburners and was off to the races.
HBO presents You Make the Call. The Bills have scored touchdowns on their first 5 possessions and are crushing Atlanta 35-0. If you're Deion Sanders, do you A, score with dignity, B, meekly spike the ball, or C, do the primetime strut, salute, and spike? What call would you make?
He's on his way for a touchdown. Neon Dion saluting as he goes, and that's not popular with this crowd. But
unfortunately, if you answered C, you're right. But were you really shocked? The Falcons were 41-14, and this week the Bills will probably pound the ball on the ground again against the Colts. That was Pittsburgh's game plan as Barry Foster rang up his club record 8th straight 100-yard rushing day of the season.
Hand off to Foster to the middle. He's open. He's in the end zone. Touchdown Pittsburgh, and they could have driven a truck through that hole.
Foster rumbled for 168 yards behind Big Rig Carlton Hasselrig, number 77, and the league's leading rusher now needs only 30 yards to break Franco Harris's single-season club mark. The Colts had never won in Pittsburgh, and with blocks from 300-pounder John Jackson, Foster ran them out of Three Rivers for the 7th straight time.
On the left side of 15, the 10, the 5. Look out, there he goes. Touchdown! Foster breaking over the left side.
The Steelers move closer to their first division crown in 9 years with a no-nonsense 30-14 win. And they should have a stroll in the park this week in Cincinnati. During his pregame stroll, Boomer Esiason reflected back on those innocent days of youth when he first dreamed of being a pro quarterback. He envisioned those hot chocolate chilly afternoons of rooting at the Pop Warner games with his dad. He relived his masterful MVP season when he whipped his Bengals to the brink of victory in Super Bowl 23. But alas, the wonder years have melted away. The Lions were in town. It was 1992 again. So far, a blunder year. Esiason fumbled, was picked off twice, and passed for a season-low 64 yards. In fact, the Bengals' lone touchdown came from linebacker James Francis.
Frame it a throw, looking, hit as he threw. Intercepted by Francis. He has wide open field in front of him. James Francis will go in for the score. Touchdown, Cincinnati. Wow. He's been the Bengals' only offense today.
But the biggest plays of all were turned in by who else? Barry Sanders, who rushed for 151 yards. With 5,202 electrifying yards in only 3.5 seasons, Barry surpassed Billy Sims as the Lions' all-time leading rusher.
In the hand of Sanders, tries the left side, tries it outside, goes to the goal line and goes in. Touchdown, Detroit.
The Bengals are basement dwellers, so David Shula has decided to bench Boomer and give rookie David Klingler a chance to live his dream. Coming up, one of the NFL's best defensive linemen over the last 12 years, the Raiders' Howie Long, joins us to discuss the Raiders' resurgence. More NFL highlights, including the Los Angeles Raiders' dominating defense shutting out division rival Denver. And where are they now spotlights a former running back who is the Jets' second all-time leading rusher, Emerson Boozer.
You won't want to miss highlights of number 32, the Jets' Emerson Boozer. He was an outstanding player. Nick and I both know because we had to play against him. But football has changed a lot since those days when we suited up. One thing that remains constant is the Raiders playing intimidating defense. The Raiders have allowed only 5 passing touchdowns. That's fewest in the NFL. And against their 9 AFC opponents, the Silver and Black have allowed just over 12 points per ball game. Suddenly, they find themselves in the playoff chase despite a horrendous 0-4 start. One of their leaders is defensive lineman Howie Long. He joins us now on NFL Crosstalk. He's with Chris.
Howie, the Raiders started so poorly, losing their first 4 games, but have since turned it around, winning 5 of their last 7. What went wrong in September, and how did you guys fix it?
Well, you know, I point back to the Denver game. The Denver game, I think, was a key. Opening the season up there and putting so much onus on that game, it was a big letdown personally, and I felt it on the team after losing such a close game up there. Elway obviously added us to his illustrious list of 20-some-odd comebacks, most of them occurring in Denver. And hopefully this last game with Denver will be the point we can look back on and say this is when we started to turn it around.
Yeah, you guys have really been playing better lately, and your defense seems to be on a roll. No touchdowns allowed in the past 2 weeks, but the Raiders' offense has been inconsistent. How much pressure does that put on your defense?
It puts a lot of pressure on the defense, but we've always had pressure on the defense here. If you look back to the championship year of '83 and '84, the defense carried the team until the last third of the year, and Jim Plunkett came on. The offense responded, did well in the playoffs. You win championships with defense, and I think we would rather have it that way, and I think we have to respond to the challenge. And I think if we're going to get better and we're going to make the run at the playoffs, the defense has to do it.
Well, you talk about defense, and this week you play the Chargers, the hottest team in football, and everybody is talking about their defense. But what do you have to do in order to shut down the Chargers' offense?
First thing you have to do is you have to stop the run. I think you have to move some extra people up on the line, force them to do the things that they're not accustomed to doing. I think they would much rather run the ball than throw the ball.
Well, you know that the final playoff spot may go to the winner of your game this week with San Diego. They have a 1-game lead over you. Does a loss knock the Raiders out of the playoffs?
You know, I was never really that good at math, Chris. Not a bright guy. I'm just a defensive lineman. Right, Len?
Lenny knows all about math. He's our resident expert. But let me ask you one very blunt question. How much control does Al Davis have over Art Shell's coaching?
I don't know. His check's on the his name is on the bottom of my check. That's the extent of my knowledge. Once again, I defer to the defensive lineman status.
Let me ask you about a player on your defense, and that's Ronnie Lott. I'd heard some grumbling of late that maybe his career was coming to an end. Do you see Ronnie Lott slipping some?
You know, it's funny. We've had a conversation before about this. Ronnie and I take turns going to one another's wakes. I think we've collectively in the last 5 years been dead 5 times. But unfortunately for the grumblers, whoever they are, the no-name grumblers, we just keep resurfacing. Ronnie's probably healthier now than he was 2-3 years ago. The breaks haven't gone his way in terms of balls bouncing his way, but then again, the breaks haven't gone our defense's way. We've had opportunities to get the ball off the ground. We haven't gotten it done. If we're going to make the stretch run for the playoffs, obviously, we have to get those loose balls.
All right, Howie, appreciate you taking some time to be with us today.
Okay, Chris.
Lenny?
Chris, thank you very much. Nick, I think you and I can relate to what Howie was talking about, trying to bury you, he and Ronnie Lott. You played 15 years. When did they say, Buoniconti, it's time for you to leave?
Hey, the Patriot management was trying to bury me after my 7th year, but the Dolphins were smart. They resurrected my career.
Let's talk about Howie Long. He is playing great football. He used to have to dominate that line. He doesn't have to do it now because he's getting some help from Greg Townsend, Anthony Smith, and Chester McLaughlin.
Yeah, these young players are terrific, Lenny, but I have to go back to the old Oakland Raiders because Howie Long is the last vestige of that great tradition. I don't care how long these guys play in Los Angeles. To me, the Raiders will always be the Oakland Raiders.
I don't care how long San Diego plays in San Diego. They're always going to be the Chargers to me. And speaking of them, the Chargers tuned up for their battle with the Raiders with a victory over Tampa Bay, while Los Angeles had little trouble with the Elway-less Broncos.
Last Sunday in Southern California, it was Muscle Beach party time at the LA Coliseum. And the Raiders, those brawny bullies in silver and black, kicked sand in the face of the Denver Broncos and 21-year-old Tommy Maddox, the youngest passer to play in the NFL since 1946.
Rivers and Gaston Green in the backfield. Maddox back, sends everybody out in the pass pattern, throws one downfield, it is picked off. Daniel has it at the 35, 45, 50, down the left side, streaking to the 30. He's got one man to try to catch him. He can't get him, but he trips him up, and finally, McDaniel falls forward at the 2-yard line.
John Elway's emergency replacement was wiped out of the undertow, unable to keep pace with a tidal wave of touchdown passes from Raiders quarterback Jay Schrader.
Allen, the tailback. Denver wedging out, play fake. Schrader back, throws, and he's got Glover. Touchdown, Raiders!
LA handed Denver its second shutout defeat of the season, the perfect tune-up for next week's Surfin' Safari down San Diego way, where the local beach bunnies were digging the groovy moves of the Chargers' newest glamour boy, quarterback Stan Humphrey.
It's goal, the give, Humphreys, bootleg left, touchdown San Diego!
Humphreys ran for one score and passed to Ronnie Harmon for another, while the defense piled up a half-dozen quarterback sacks in their victory over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. At 6-5, the Chargers haven't been over 500 this late in a non-strike season since 1981, and they'll try to stay on a winning course when they ride the wild surf against the Raiders this Sunday night.
The Chargers have had only one winning season since 1982, but at 6-5, they're poised to make the playoffs. In the last 7 games, they are 6-1. They have a 5th-place schedule. When you take a look at it, none of those teams have a winning record. And I think if they can split with the Raiders, they have an excellent shot at making the playoffs. Nick, how do you see this game?
Lenny, it's defense versus defense, and what quarterback makes the fewest mistakes. One thing's for sure, Bill Arnsparger's defense will force the Raiders to go to the weakest part of their offense, and that's throwing the football. They're ranked 22nd in the National Football League in passing. Arnsparger's defense will shut down the run, and then he will turn those defensive linemen loose Mims, Sayal, and O'Neal. They will put pressure on Schrader, and you know what that's going to end up with, Chris? It's going to end up with a lot of Schrader interceptions.
Now, there you go again. Why do you want to bang on Jay Schrader all the time? The fact of the matter is that ever since Jay Schrader took back over as the starting quarterback, this Raiders offense has been much better. And the reason is he no longer has to listen to the fans, his teammates, and even the coaches calling for Todd Marinovich every single time he throws an incomplete pass. Marinovich, he had his chance, and he blew it. It's Schrader's team now, and the Raiders are better off for it.
All right, Jay Schrader the last 2 weeks guided them to victories, but it was against Seattle and a Elway-less Bronco team. Can he do it against the #1 ranked team in the AFC, the Chargers?
Yes, he can, because he's got help now on that offensive line. Max Montoya is back, starting at guard. The pass protection has been much better, as has the run blocking. Case in point, last week, Eric Dickerson runs for over 100 yards. I like Schrader's Raiders.
You know, great pick, Chris. Wonderful pick against the hottest team in the National Football League, the Chargers. If Stan Humphries can just keep his head and not let his ego get carried away and let the defense set up his offense, then the Chargers win this game.
Let's talk about leadership, because I think the Raiders have great leadership. Howie Long, we heard him talking. They got Ronnie Lott as well. I think that is going to carry them through the rest of the season. It'll carry them through this football game. They will give Art Shell his 6th win of the year. When Art Shell was at Maryland Eastern Shore College, he blocked for the subject of this week's Where Are They Now? Longtime Jets running back Emerson Boozer. Kurt Gowdy takes a look at an outstanding football player.
Emerson Boozer, that dynamic fullback who played with the New York Jets for 10 years, has memories of his days playing football.
I used to spin and turn. It appeared as though I might be stopped, and all of a sudden, bingo, I'm out of there.
With great speed and power, number 32 was a dangerous ball carrier. And although hampered by a knee injury in '67, Boozer returned that same season to lead the league in touchdowns. At 5'11", Boozer often felt more like 6'2". This might account for the fact that due to painful bunions, Emerson played with 4 pounds of padding in his shoes.
There was much talk in '66 to have Boozer's bunions repaired. And I, for one, thought that if they were to cut my feet, I'm going to lose my balance. And I had great balance. On a dry field or a wet field, my greatest asset was balance. I could take a shot and maintain that balance.
Boozer kept his balance and his bunions and retired as the leading rusher in Jets history. Today, the man who was once plowing down the field is overseeing putting the fields back together. As director of the Department of Parks and Recreation in Huntington, Long Island, Boozer manages an annual budget of $6 million and maintains year-round service of 103 parks.
It's a job that you've got to know what's going on. You've got to be able to make sure that all schedules are met, be it in the recreational end, programming-wise, or maintenance-wise to your facilities that are being used. Those things all have to be coordinated and tied in to precise times and dates.
Are we prepared to? Are we ready to open that pier officially, or what's the date on that?
Unlike a lot of other players, Boozer had prepared well for the eventual day when he would make the transition from football to the working world.
I didn't have much difficulty making the adjustment from the world of athletics into the various jobs that I've handled over the last 15, 16 years, principally because in the 60s and early 70s, we didn't earn the kinds of dollars that the ball players are earning today, which meant that it was necessary that you go out in winter months and try to do some work that you might want to do beyond your playing days.
Always well prepared to tackle any job which came his way, Boozer has always made plans and always met his goals.
From my first year playing ball, I worked over New Jersey as a tie salesman. I sold clothing and ties. Basically, was my specialty. Shortly after that, I started to do some radio. I was interested in doing radio. Did some training in broadcast journalism. And upon retiring, I thought I was ready to go into sports casting as an analyst, which I was hired by CBS. I've always been one that have known exactly where I was going and what I had planned to do. But I'm at a crossroads. I really don't have any specific goal at this stage of my life.
If Boozer decides to make a move, we're sure he'll have a plan, and positive. that he'll be able to maintain his balance.
I will never forget Super Bowl III. Joe Willie Namath guaranteed a victory over the Baltimore Colts, but it was Emerson Boozer and his running mate Matt Snell that got the job done and gave credibility to the American Football League. But, Nick, you know better than anybody how good these guys were.
Well, they talk about physical football today. You played the Jets back then with Snell and Boozer carrying and blocking for each other. I come out of that ball game black and blue. These guys were tough.
But you came out of all the games black and blue. And how tough were you last week when you made your picks?
Not as tough as you, unfortunately.
13-1, my
God,
goodness.
Pretty fishy to me.
Who are we chasing?
Hey, I didn't finish last anyway.
I understand that. Who are we chasing? Gary is still up there on top. We
Maybe a wire-to-wire victory.
The lead's eroding, though.
Oh, it's getting bigger.
Wire. Gary Myers. Yes. Do you have anything else to say?
The lead's eroding.
Eroding. Yeah, I know which direction you're going. You're in the bottom right now. You know, earlier in the show, we discussed several games and made our selections. Now it's time to pick the rest of the games, starting with the ones that we agree on. Buffalo will defeat Indianapolis. Cleveland will hand the Bears their 5th straight defeat. Pittsburgh will down Cincinnati with new quarterback David Klingler replacing Boomer Esiason. Denver will get a victory over Seattle. Let's take a look at the other games in more detail. Kansas City traveling to the Meadowlands to take on the Jets. Gary, how do you see this game?
Well, and I see Kansas City is the only team in the AFC I think that can beat Buffalo. They play it like an NFC team. They run the ball, and they play good defense, and we know what happens when Buffalo faces NFC teams in the Super Bowl.
Hey, you heard what Gary said on his segment. He said that Bruce Coslett has benched Browning, Nagel, and Farrell. Oh, Ken O'Brien. Bruce, I've been telling you week after week. You finally listened to me. I like Kansas City.
Yeah, I know for a fact that Bruce Coslett really trusts Nick Bonacani to make all decisions for me. He probably called him this week and got an update.
He has speed dialing on his phone on
Not even a chance. Trust me on that one. But Kansas City's a team that absolutely loves the bad weather. They have the great running game. They have the great defense. Kansas City should win easily.
How frequently does Bruce call you, by the way?
He calls them a lot of things.
He calls them a lot of things. I see that. I'll tell you, I'll call for Kansas City to take the ball away from the Jets because they do the best job in the league. 6 times last week against Seattle. I like the Kansas City Chiefs. All right, the next game out west, Minnesota traveling to take on the Los Angeles.
Well, Minnesota may be traveling, but I don't care who plays quarterback. They still have that great defense. I like Minnesota.
Well, Sean Salisbury played his college ball at USC. He's going home to Los Angeles. Maybe that's the reason for making the change now. I don't know. I agree with you. That Vikings defense, too tough. I like Minnesota.
Vikings can be the first team in the league to clinch a division title this weekend if they win and the Packers lose. But I think this is a strange time for Dennis Green to be benching Rich Gannon. They're 8-3. I like the Rams at home.
Well, I'll be darned. He likes the Rams at home.
That's why I'm in first place.
He's in first place. I should agree with him, but I don't. I think the defense of Minnesota will win this football game. We've got New England at Atlanta.
Well, New England is on a roll, Lenny. I mean, Scott Zolik will go do the same thing against Atlanta that Browning Nagel did in that first ball game. I think the receivers will get a step on those defenders, and New England's going to win this football game.
New England's hot, but Atlanta got embarrassed last week. They really did, and you know that Jerry Glanville will have that team ready at home. I like Atlanta.
Jerry Glanville's defense has already given him 40 points 4 times this season. That's almost unbelievable. I think this will be a bounce-back week for him, and they'll beat the Patriots.
I don't know as if the Patriots are allowed to win 3 in a row, are they, Nick? You know, 2 is their limit for this year. I think
they look good.
I know they look good, but I think Atlanta's going to find a way to win this football game. Phoenix at Washington. You know, the Skins are all banged up. What do you think is going to happen?
Washington, their offense is just a shell of their former self. Phoenix coming in there may have a bit of a chance, but you have to look at Washington's defense. They're still as good as anybody in the National Football League. In a close one, I like Washington.
Washington's going through this post-Super Bowl blues, but also almost 25% of their roster that was there in late January in Super Bowl is on injured reserve right now. They're really decimated, but I don't see them losing to Phoenix twice in one season. I think they'll beat the Cardinals.
You know, it's called pride, Lenny. You know, the Washington Redskins, I think, got embarrassed, humiliated against the Saints last week. Joe Gibbs will instill some pride in this team, and like Chris says, defensively they're great. I like the Redskins at home.
I think you hit on something, Joe Gibbs. He's an outstanding coach. I know he's had a lot of problems with the offensive line, but I think he'll find a way to get a victory over Phoenix. We've got Tampa Bay at Green Bay, Gary.
To me, Brett Favre is one of the real success stories of the league so far this year. He's really had a terrific season under the coaching of Mike Holmgren. They've averaged over 350 yards offense the last 3 weeks. I think they'll easily beat the Bucs.
You know, it's called an attitude change, and that's what Holmgren instilled in Green Bay. This is a totally different football team. They can run the ball. They play good defense. Tampa Bay seems to be going the other way. Vinny Testaverde still hasn't got it on track. I like Green Bay at home.
Yeah, you hit on the key. Green Bay has discovered a running game here lately. I like the Packers.
Well, Favre is operating with a bad shoulder. It's slightly separated, so find out how tough those quarterbacks really are. I'm going with that quarterback that is tough in the Green Bay Packers. Well, that's our show for this week. Remember, Inside the NFL premieres each Thursday at 11 p.m. If you missed any part of it, you can catch it once again each Friday evening at 7 p.m. and Saturdays at 11 a.m. Those times are Eastern and Pacific. It is Thanksgiving time. All of us here at HBO would like to wish each and every one of you a very happy Thanksgiving weekend. That's our show for this week. We hope you enjoyed it, and we hope you'll join us next week for HBO's Inside the NFL. Boxing returns to HBO Sports with an exciting triple header featuring middleweight champion